Hi, I'm Jackson.
And I'm Debbie Jansen.
And I'm sticking to the truth.
Yes, we are sticking to the truth.
We are two motormouth mama bears talking current events honestly and boldly.
We are truth warriors. No lie is too big and no deception too small. Are you sticking to the truth?
I'm sticking to the truth. Are you?
Yes. And I hope our listeners are too. Well, today is a fun day for a lot of people. Can you believe the election is over? No more political ads or news programs dedicated to the race. We can get back to living life. Even if your candidate didn't win, I'm sure there's a little breather for all of us. Just to know I can cross that off my daily list is wonderful. I can smile at you today, Julene, and say, "What's up, Julene? How are you doing? How's the kids? What are you cooking for supper? Can't wait to visit with you next week because we're going on a trip together." I love it. Normal is so fun, right, Julene?
I mean, well, it kind of feels like maybe a new wonderful normal, for 4 years, normal has been normal, but we got a kind of a new normal. And I know, Debbie, that like everyone on both sides of the political spectrum has just had like this pit in their stomach for the last few weeks. And certainly I think the last few days, everyone has just kind of felt it. And, we're God girls, and we know that we've been praying, and with God, all things are possible. It kind of, I heard someone say, it feels like Christmas came early, the day after election. But, I live in Washington, D.C. You know that, Deb, or the southern side, just like, 20 minutes from the White House. And so I'm really close to that emotional epicenter where 94% of my neighbors and people around me, people I go to church with, lean on the other side of me politically. And so the mood here is not feeling normal to them. I mean, they are sad. They are subdued. My little daughter is a doula. She's 24. So she helped deliver a baby a few days ago, and she went to go check up on the mama yesterday. And the first thing the mama said is, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. We can just have a good cry." And my little daughter said, "Oh, I know the hormones are all crazy when you have these babies." And she said, "Oh, no, that's not it at all. I want to cry about the election."
Oh, no.
And so, you just have to know that, even though I'm feeling and you're feeling like we're in a celebratory mood, that's not necessarily the case around the country. Now, you're in Ohio. What's the mood over there?
Well, maybe a little bit better, at least around the people that I know. But I agree with you 100%, Julene. We have a neighbor across the street that is just really wonderful, and I haven't seen them come out, and they are usually out and in the yard and stuff. And I told Ron, I feel compassion for them, and I feel sorry for them. And I do feel for people who put so much energy into this election and didn't get the result they wanted. Yeah. They're going to need time to process what's happened. I agree with you about that. And that is what our program's going to concentrate on today, is to help a little bit with that. But now that it's over, we need to ask ourselves, now what? Now what do I do? Because there's been a lot of crazy predictions, and it's those predictions that are probably causing the most pain for people who didn't vote for Trump. They're worried. What is my life going to be like? Do I need to leave the country? What's going to happen to me? And there's all those scary predictions cause a lot of anxiousness and worry about the next 4 years. I did listen to Greg Gutfeld yesterday, and he pointed out that Trump in his last rally very simply said, whatever's going on in your world, we do not have to live that way. And I like that, because it leaves room for different opinions. Whatever is there, we can make it better. You can make it better. And that's another big key. We have the responsibility no matter who's in office, to go out and make our world better. Wouldn't
Yeah.
you agree?
Oh, I mean, that is such an empowering thought, right? That we look to God for our freedom, for our answers to our problems, for solutions. We don't look to the person in the White House. But, you have to be grounded on truth, right? To understand that. I mean, Deb, when you're living in an echo chamber and you think that if your people and your team agenda doesn't prevail, imminent destruction, is on the horizon, that's a frightful way to live, right? And you get pretty and we all have to be careful that we just don't take all of the knowledge and understanding we have from our little vacuum, that we're
Yeah,
open. We're not so strident and one-sided. And I do think when you're praying every day, when you're in the word, it kind of tempers your ability to or desire to want to maybe demonize people that have different ideas than you. So, I think this notion, because our guy won, we don't necessarily want to gloat or hopefully be obnoxious when you're reading in the holy word that you should love your neighbor, right? And
right.
so it's interesting. I had a friend tell me 2 days ago that he had a friend that was really struggling because she voted for Harris. And so the night of the election, he texted her, look, I know this is a tough night for you. I just want you to know I'm thinking about you and I love you. And when he shared with me, that was his response to people that he knows are suffering. That just that Christian part of your heart, you just know that's the right way that we should respond when people are stressed out and upset and sad. I mean, it's that love of God and that love of his word and his example helps us to maybe not be so combative, because the other side right now, they're having a hard time, right? And so I think that I think that is, I mean, I don't want to say that we can't be happy, but I think we have to be sensitive, right, to people that the world might be thinking is going to end here.
Exactly. And it is our job, as whether you're a Christian or just a good person, that you don't kick somebody that's wounded,
Right.
that you don't go stomp on somebody that's hurting, that you, when you see the pain, you address the pain in as gentle a way as you can. Now, you don't always change the narrative of truth.
Yeah.
You have to accept that this is the truth and this is where we need to go, or this is where you need to take your life. I run into people all the time that ask me questions about life. And recently in Springfield, a young lady came up to me and totally portraying by her attire and how she looked that she probably was not someone like me. But she asked me a very serious question. After she found out what I did, she said, I want a better life. How do I get that? And so without attacking her where she was, I gently explained some good things that she could do. And then I lifted her up with encouragement, and you can do this and you can make a better life for yourself. I think that is always the go-to, but we still have to be careful because it is addiction when we wake up every morning with this thought in our head that life is horrible and it cannot go on. And how am I going to make this? Because all of that negativity in your head and in your life and anger and lashing out at other people, that is going to keep you going in the wrong direction. So until someone says you don't have to live this way, your life is not going to get better until you accept that. And the advice is good because it puts you on a road to finding answers, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do with this podcast. First, we want to point out the lies. Then we want to give you compassion for the place you find yourself. We want to refute the lie, and then we want to insist you don't have to live this way. Your
Mhm.
life can be better. Don't be anxious. Don't be upset. We can go forward. Do you
Mhm.
agree?
Yeah. 100%. I mean, that's, I think, what it looks like to be a light unto, others around you, to turn your light on and to shine. And sometimes it's your own personal example that will draw them to you more so than saying that you're a Christian. It's they're watching your example. They're watching how you react. Are you gonna zing people back when you get zinged? And so I think just like that little gal that, came to you seeking some advice and counsel. I mean, there was something about you that she felt was a safe place, even though, maybe you're living two different worlds right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all have to be open for that. But today, I want to talk about one other thing that's real important. And that's the biggest part of this election was that everyone needed to see the lies. And there were little lies and there were minuscule lies and there were all kinds of lies that were going on throughout the country. You can't refute a lie unless you've studied the truth. Would you agree, Julene?
100%.
Okay. And by the way, let's talk about the biggest lie of all. In fact, it's a whopper. It's the greatest lie anyone has ever come up with. I'm sure Satan was right there working on that lie together. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. It's crazy and it keeps all the other lies going. You know what it is, Julie?
Oh gosh, there's so many of them out there. Maybe the biggest lie is you cannot eat the rest of all the Halloween candy while binge watching Netflix all night. I mean, that always sounds like the perfect way to escape, to chillax, relax, but it never ends well. Why do I keep buying that lie? So right now, that might be like the big lie.
Well, you got it, babe. I'll agree with that too. But the biggest lie of this election is that one person in one position can fix it all.
Oh,
They can't.
sure.
They can't. And I'm not saying that the president isn't important, and I'm not saying that I'm not happy that a businessman is in there and that he can make a lot of changes. He can. He and the person in that position can make our life harder or easier. He can determine the path that America takes. But the lie is that one candidate can do it all. They can't. The big lie is designed to keep us lazy.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
The lie wants us to turn the problem over to a political entity that can't possibly solve our problems at their root cause.
Yeah.
If we get used to that, then we will believe that a liar can fix our problems and make life better for us. The truth is that the real work begins today. Already, the liberal media. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I got something going on with my camera. Okay. The truth is that the real work begins today. And already the liberal media is touting that the American people are racist and stupid. It's all our fault and we are doomed. And that's a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's hard, Deb, just to sit back and take that when you're hearing some of that hysteria, because that's a lie, right?
Yes.
I mean, I was just saying, we already know we had 4 years of Donald Trump. Our life didn't go off the cliff. So for people to be imagining what's going to happen when we know, did we forget he led the nation for 4 years, And
I
so
guess.
you have to, that ability, once again, discernment, to know when they're just stirring up and saying incendiary things, to divide, And then you have to decide, okay, how am I going to react to this? How am I going to refute these lies? Because I don't think it's always good to be muted or silenced, because you don't want to be
No.
contentious.
And we need to become part of the solution.
Yeah.
So if the American people respond to hope and the opportunity to work, and they get up every day and they go to work every day, and they try to take problems that they have in their own community and work on them, and we study our problems even more in depth, we make plans for our own work, we have goals to set, and we stay busy. If we do all of that, yes, what he does will help, but we will be also helping to push all of us forward.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Well, Debbie, you said something to me the other day that I really like. You used the analogy of when, the Lord parted the Red Sea, and Moses and the house of Israel, were walking through, maybe running through on dry ground. And how did you say that? We can't get stuck in the riverbed because, it looks like safe.
Yeah, if we do that, if we let God open the waters, and Moses, as the leader, he takes off going through there and leading all the other people with him, and we decide, oh, I'm tired, and we sit down in the middle of that river, what's going to happen? It's going to fold in around us.
Yeah.
And it's going to take us out. We can't do that. We have to say, okay, here's some new plans. Here's how we need to go forward. And I also want to point out that there is nothing in life that you have as a personal goal that you can ever stop on. You can't ever reach the place where you say, there, I'm done. You can't do that. I have a problem with weight, and I have to watch my weight all the time. And so I was large at one point when I had a cake decorating business because I like cake. But then I started losing weight, and now I have granddaughters. And one of the things that we do, and I lost a lot of weight during COVID, and I'm still taking it off, but I take my granddaughters out for fancy dinners, and I take them out separately, and I make sure that I spend time talking with them and hopefully molding the future in their lives. Well, Sophie said, I said, where you want to go this time, darling? Oh, let's go to Olive Garden. Okay. Because the soup and salad there is the less calories, but it's still a lot. So I talked with her, and of course she wanted me to have a piece of the meatball, and I did. And I can't leave there without having one of those luscious little rolls. And I come home, and it's a little bit up, but it's not bad. So then I asked Gracie, where do you want to go tomorrow? Olive Garden. Oh, so I go to Olive Garden. I'm relaxing what I eat.
Oh.
And on the third day, I was up 3 pounds. And I thought, I got to get a hold of this quick. And I did. And I'm back to where I need to be. But it's that way in life. You can't sit in front of a double-decker, which I'd love to do, a double-decker banana split and say, I just don't know why I can't lose weight. You have to be diligent. You have to be responsible. You have to say, this problem going forward is mine, and I'm committing to it, not for 10 days, not for 4 years, but for life.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on this problem. What do you think, Julie?
Yeah. Well, I'm still thinking about Olive Garden, actually. What is it about the unlimited salad and breadsticks that just make you think you don't have a care in the world?
Really.
I get it. But since you brought up weight, like the bane of a woman's existence, the darn scale, I actually lost 30 pounds last year. And I had to be really diligent with what I put in my mouth. I belong to a program called Bright Line Eating, and we actually say we're food addicts. And so I can't have one cookie. I want to eat the whole bag. So there's no flour, no sugar. We eat 3 meals. We weigh and measure our quantities. But, it's really, I know the work it took to lose the 30 pounds. But now that I'm in maintenance, we call it my right size body, it actually takes more work. I have to be just as diligent, on the job. I can't let up at all, because if I do, the scale will go up. It rarely goes down, because I'm pretty disciplined about my habits. But I can see, same like with an alcoholic. I mean, even if you haven't had a drink in 30 years, you are still an addict. You still have to be diligent. You still have to work at it. You still have to go to meetings. You have to hang out with people that, reinforce your identity. I mean, it takes work. And I think this is what is, moving forward with our country, that sometimes when we get a win, we think, oh, okay, our man won. We can relax a little bit. All is well in Zion. We can kind of be lulled back into feeling like we're safe. But if not, if we do that, we're going to miss. God has given us a 4-year window, I believe, Deb,
Yeah.
to gun it through the Red Sea, to run across that dry riverbed and make as many inroads, and to shore up the foundation, particularly of the young people in the country. I mean, we saw what 4 years of godless leadership and godless policies and godless school curriculums did to the young people. And, they're the future of America. And so we have got to make an all-out effort to shore them up and to teach them, truly the principles of godly principles and principles of freedom and free markets and free enterprise and the beauty of what God gave us. And we have to be at more attention than ever before, and just because our people are in office, doesn't mean that we can be pacified into thinking they got it. We don't, our kids are going to be okay now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm right there with you. And another example of that is in our parenting situation. You have 5 kids. I have 3 kids, but I have 7 grandchildren. And I don't worry, but I make a commitment to be a part of all of their lives. Just because my 3 are adults doesn't mean I walk away from them. And just because the 7 are little kids or 5 of them live in a different state doesn't mean I don't want to be involved in their life, because life is hard and parents don't always get everything right. I didn't, and my kids probably won't. And we have to commit to having that lifetime time and mentorship with our kids, because even though we think we've solved some problems by voting someone in, there's plenty more waiting behind that, plenty more problems. There will be other presidents. There will be other people in command of different areas of our lives. Our kids need to know how to get out there and have a good life. And that means that you and I are involved in their lives. Yeah. And I know a lot of people, parents that become grandparents and say, well, I quit. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to live and I'll see them maybe once every couple of years. Yeah. No, they need you. And I have actually had young mothers say, I'm scared to death because my parents have done that. And I have no support system to make sure my kids are learning right. To give you a funny example, I had a friend that went into, and this is why it's so important to make sure that parents get everything done, but also that grandparents are part of it and we're helping and all of that. But he went into a donut shop and asked for half a dozen donuts. And the sweet little girl, he said she was sweet and nice behind the counter. She said, sir, we don't sell those. And he said, this is a donut shop. Yeah, well, I want a half a dozen. Sir, we don't have any of those. So he thought for a minute and he said, oh, can I buy 6 donuts? And she said, oh, yes, I'll get those right away. And we can laugh at that, but it points out that if we are not diligent in study and in training and in knowing the facts, sweet, wonderful young ladies like that will not be able to respond in an honest way at their business and probably not in their life or their world. And that makes the world worse, not better. I heard Harris say that if she was to get in, she wanted to change the requirements for working in a government office so you didn't have to have a college degree. And I immediately thought, wait, they're in places that are making changes for all of us, and they haven't even been to college. I want the smartest person in that position. I don't want someone who may be really nice and may have some good ideas, but they don't have those underlying facts that they need.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not rooted on a knowledge and intelligence principles, you're more easily swayed. You can be more easily controlled, And so I think we want the most qualified people. And we used to think we could send our kids off to school or the universities and they would come back, so equipped to handle the world. I have changed my mind. I believe, Debbie, you and me are the greatest teachers our children and grandchildren will ever have. We are the most equipped to understand what they need as we send them out into the world and as they're going to get on that
Exactly.
wall and on the front line. The love of God, the love of freedom, the love of country is homegrown, and not enough families are growing it at home. They're outsourcing it to the schools, the social media, and whatnot. And so, that's why it's so important that we continue to study and learn. We're a part of Moms for America, where we have weekly classes on principles of liberty.
Yes.
And good government and parenting. And, I just finished or getting ready to finish a 4-week series on our foundational stories of the Pilgrims, dating clear back to Joan of Arc, Christopher Columbus, the Pilgrims, and
it's a great class. It's great.
I realize this is so much fun to go back and learn these inspirational stories that are really not taught anymore in the school systems. So unless we're teaching them to our children and grandchildren, they will never know, And so we have to be up and learning. When mama and grandma knows, the next generation will know, will be
Yes. Yes.
will be firm. Their foundation will be firm.
You're exactly right, and I love it. And yes, do go to momsforamerica.us and join us. You get all these wonderful classes for free, and I know you'll enjoy it. So, Julian, real quick, what's a tip for today?
Well, I think we got to keep praying, right? We got to pray as if everything depends upon God, and then get up and work as if everything depends upon us. God loves to see us work by the sweat of our brow, right? He said we are to work, and he rewards efforts. And so, we've seen a glimpse of how quickly we can do a decline slide in a matter of a few years. And so, we've got to take this precious time where we have a leader who loves God, who loves family, who loves freedom. And we got to, I think he said there is a reason after his assassination attempt that God spared his life. We got to be a part of that reason. All right. We worship a big God so we can do big things. We don't need to rest on our laurels and go back to normal. We need the new normal where we got to step it up and keep petitioning the heavens for help, but roll up our sleeves collectively together and get to work. Step it up.
That's great, Julene. And we don't really collaborate on these tips, but seems like the last couple times we have about the same tip. So my tip for today is to reject the big lie. Get busy living your life, which is just what Julene said. And remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they're too small. In my book, Praying for America, I wrote, God calls us to big things. That's what we like about him, right? I do. Yeah. He accomplishes great things, and we are in awe when he does. Yet the hardest thing for us to do is trust him enough to actually join him in those great adventures. To our listeners, the time is now. We must work to make our country better. And I promise you, if we work together, we're going to make it happen because God's going to get involved and we will do great things. Am I right, Julene?
You are, my friend. That's why I love you. Right on.
Okay. Thank you for being with us today. Subscribe to this podcast and join us again when we discuss fresh topics. You can ask a question or request that we dig into a specific topic by writing me, Debbie, at debbiejansen.com. And if you're discouraged, pick up a copy of my book, Praying for America and the Army of God. It's packed with inspiration and hope. Stay tuned because Julene and I have some big plans and fun stuff for you next month. This is Debbie Jansen, and I'm sticking to the truth.
This is Julene Jackson, and we are sticking to the truth. We will see you next time. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.